Greetings, 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 friends. Presence and potential. Experience your higher self and live in wholeness. MarthaCreek.com to contact me. Chapter 8. Live by your own goals. This, of all these 20 some odd chapters, 30 actually, I've added a few since this is published. This has been one of the most difficult for me. Living by your own goals means living by what interests us and not by the goals and expectations other people have for us. Living by my own goals has been one of the most challenging tenets of presence and potential. I have been so patterned and programmed into pleasing others and going along with others to keep the peace at any price, that I literally didn't know what the goals for my own life were in many cases. I was the oldest of three children in my family, born to parents who were both the youngest in their family. For those of you that study genogram or family of origin work, just pause there for a minute and think about the implications to be being born the oldest to two youngest. I was dedicated to keeping things going, doing whatever we had to do to keep things moving along, efficient, proficient, orderly, keeping the peace for sure. Back then, my ways of trying to keep peace were not very effective, especially when my goals came up against conflicting goals within my family. I would often set aside my goals for the goals of others, the goals of the family, or the goals of keeping peace. It's miraculous how well I've been able to continuously and consistently move in the direction of my goals with this inertia. Despite my habit of relegating my goals to the back seat for most of my life. An example is my family didn't go to church, and I wanted to go to church. When I told my mother I wanted to go to church, she told me, quote, "Go find you a way to go to church. Find someone to take you." This was classic mama way. So I did. I called the neighbors up and asked who goes to church and if they could take me to church. And they did, which I loved very much. I loved going. I loved my Sunday school teacher and memorizing scripture and things like that. Even though it wasn't part of my family's tradition, it was important to me. So I took action to move me in the direction of my own goals. I also loved playing softball, and I was popular playing softball. I was a good athlete. I played softball 5 nights a week in the summer on 5 different teams. I was very popular. I had very specific chores at home that had to be done and kept up in order for me to go play softball in the evenings. So I worked very hard to keep laundry done, the housework done, chores, cleaning done, and my schoolwork and everything else, yard mowing, painting, all matters of things. So I could meet my goal to play all the softball I had the opportunity to play. As I got older, I had sincere desires to travel. When I first moved to Nashville in 1989, I worked at a very large corporation. I wanted to travel and didn't have the extra money for travel. I'd just taken on a mortgage and was paying for college and other things that were important to me too. Yet I wanted to travel. An opportunity came up for me to work for American Airlines out on the tarmac, out on the ramp, helping direct airplanes to park, loading bags, unloading bags, things like that. Back then, any employee of American Airlines traveled free as long as there was space available. Standby travel. I worked 9 to 5 in my corporate job and then drove out to the airport and worked there from 6 to 10 o'clock at night just so I could travel for free. I've done many, many things to move myself in the direction of my goals for my life. I've also had a lot of challenge and pushback and questioning and discouragement at times for the paths I was taking because they often didn't make sense to anybody. My goals often looked like they were too hard, that I was a workaholic, that they were undoable, or that I was too dreamy, that they were too dreamy for me to meet some of them. Today, I'm very grateful that I've been able to exercise this commitment to myself. And in most cases, constantly, consistently, and persistently, I have moved in the direction of my own goals. So when I say live by your own goals, it often begs the question, how do you even know what your personal goals are? What interests you? What do you want to be in this interaction? Not how do you usually do it, not how do they do it, but how do you want to be in your own life? What is a life that's interesting to you? What would that look like? What are you going to look back from your own deathbed and say, wow, that's exactly what I wanted to do? I thought for myself, wow, I didn't let their upsets, their threats, their needs, their wants, and their shoulds impact me so much that I wasn't able to make a choice based on what was integral and honest action for me. That's what I want to say on my deathbed. We'll look back and be glad we did, or look back and wish we had. Start small. Find an area in your life where you feel you're living out somebody else's expectations for you, where you didn't have enough self to say, no, I'm going to do something else. Or no, I'm not going to do that. Or actually, that doesn't interest me. Or that doesn't make sense to me. Or maybe even that's against my own integrity to do that. The emotional binds we're in have caused us to do these things instead of what was truly ours to do. Imagine what it would be like to say, I really get that you want this for me. I really understand why you want this for me, and it's simply not honest action for me. Or responding maybe with, it's not a goal that I have for my own life. Such defining moments in my life have occurred when I've been able to live by my own goals. In the few little places I've been able to say, I get that you want this for me, and I get why you want this for me, that you naturally want for me, something that's benefited you or changed your life. I get that that's why you would want me to do this. And it's just an absolute simple and honest no for me. That is not a goal that I have for my own life. It certainly is of interest for me to continue to do this self-honoring, including specific ways of even how I am a facilitator for this. Some of the college and ordination education I have is very non-traditional. I went to night school, day school, took early college classes, correspondence classes. I got all the credits I could for college without ever living on a college campus for my whole life. Other people wanted me to live on the college campus. That was the only way they knew to do it. They wanted me to have that experience also. I saw another way to do it that seemed more honest for me at the time. So even with the pressures to do it the standard, traditional, everybody else way, I was able to define myself and say, there's another way for me to do this. I found colleges that provided accelerated learning that really caused me to step up and make decisions to work full time, 2 full time jobs, a part time job, and go to college full time. That would not have been suitable for many others. That could have been enough to cause a system breakdown, an overload, or to cause them to throw in the towel on all of it. It worked well for me. Even though it could have finished somebody else off, it was directly in alignment with my own energy, my own stamina and capabilities, and my goals. The invitation here is to self-examine. Where am I doing something under the pressure of others? To be liked, to be okay, to be accepted, to be understood? Or am I living in accordance with the goals for my own life? Find ways of how you're not doing this. It's not a question of, are you doing this? Yes, me too. There are things I'm doing that I don't really care a lick about. There are things I'm doing that I'm doing under pressure because it's always been done this way, or because someone else has expectations of me to do it that way. When we awaken to those, determine where those are, then it's possible for us to say, I can come back now to what's more interesting to me. I can return to what is more in alignment with the goals for my own life. How do I live according to my own goals with the pressures and expectations of others still in place? How can I not try to manage the expectations of others, but instead make choices that are more in integrity with my own soul and my own goals? I'm full of questions. Blessings, friends.